It's officially Strength Hammer episode 8. We are recording now on this 8th of May at 8:46 p.m. How are you?
Not too bad. Number 8, almost an official podcast.
Is it 10? Is 10 the official?
I think 10's official, right?
Well, I mean, we'll get one more good one, then we'll just stop for 6 months.
That's right.
But yeah, past couple episodes, just having like one-on-one conversations, and want to have one with you because you're one of the regular hosts of the show. So I want to see what random stuff we can talk about and learn more about you for the audience specifically. I know a lot about you. You mean, not all of it. I don't know
Only what I let you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know your credit card number. I know your mother's maiden name. I know your underwear size. Yeah, just that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But do I really know the real Neil?
Well, I hope you meant to do that.
I'm trying to think. I called the last episode with Matt the Hayward Origination or Hayward Origins. So I'm trying to think of how I can do it with your name. How can I make it sound way more epic than what it is, where it's just two dudes talking about Warhammer or whatever?
Neil.
The real Neil.
The real Neil, yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's it. It's gonna be the real Neil. I'm gonna type it in the chat so I don't forget. There, it's locked in. So how have you been?
I've been good.
Yeah,
I've been gaming with my daughter down in the basement. So she is actually a Warhammer fiend right now. Every night she asks me if we can play Warhammer now. So I think it's primarily because she's won every time we've played. So
you just
have to put an end to.
Are you just throwing like random scenarios at her, or are you going to be doing some?
We just I put some objectives out, and we say, these are the objectives, and you have to be within 6 inches and stuff like that. And I read the rules to her for War Scrolls quite a bit. She's in first grade, so she can read pretty well, but there's a lot of big words, a lot of $10 words in Warhammer. So
yeah, but you're
I gotta help her out with this.
You get some of the basics down. I mean, like what an objective is, range.
She knows how to read across the table for the hit and wound and rend. She gets rend, and she's doing all the maths and all that. So she knows how to go down onto the wound chart and all that kind of stuff. So we're getting there.
Nice.
So now I just got to get her reading the abilities and understanding like how that all works. Even kind of loosely walk through building a list and how that works. So the dream is coming true. Homegrown opponents.
Maybe I'll send her my corn army. And within a couple years, she'll beat you with your corn army, just to come full circle.
To be fair, it's not hard to beat me, so
Yeah, I think that's got to be like a proud and shameful moment whenever your child beats you at Warhammer finally.
I haven't really tried yet with all my rules, so I'm gonna try one time. We'll see if this still works out or if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, I might just have to stop playing.
Oh, that's good. And just for the folks listening at home, my furnace has kicked on, and I thought I was going to try and edit it out. Now that I'm thinking about it, no, it's going to kick on a lot. So if you hear a noise in the background, it's because it's May 8th, and it snowed outside my house this afternoon.
Hey, mine too.
When did the murder hornets get here? I mean, they were in Washington.
They're not coming to this area. That's for sure.
Now if the snow, they'll die off real quick.
Oh, if there's ever an apocalypse, Ohio will be the last place on Earth. I guarantee you that. We don't ever get the bad natural disaster.
It's because everything goes past it and says, "Oh, that place already had it hit, so let's just keep on going."
Bad enough. It'll be last place standing. Yeah.
Nah, that's Indiana. Ohio's okay. Plus, you're in the northeastern part, which is probably one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Because you're not that far away from mountains and places that aren't flat, endless corn.
Right. That's Toledo. Once you start going west of Toledo, it's the worst.
You remember traveling, going places?
You give Toledo to Michigan. Just give it back. You can have it.
Poor Michigan. But there's monsters up there, so they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know where we're at in this whole quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. I'll be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I'm not sick of being home for work and being able to get lots of workouts in and work done while also working, but I'm sick of not being able to, think, oh, hey, in a couple weeks I'm gonna go out to Ohio and play my good friend Neil on the table. I'm sick of that.
Yeah, I have a little bit different perspective on it because every time I go to work, I have to wear 2 masks for 8 hours a day, which makes it very difficult to breathe. And so I can't wait to get home. And we did. I think since the last podcast, my hospital put in an active COVID unit. So, while I do not work directly on that COVID unit, I am sometimes 8 feet away from the wall, in which there is a lot of COVID going on. So, yeah. Every day we make it home and the temperature stays under 102. I'm a pretty happy guy.
So the little victories you're after, huh? Well, we were chatting a little bit before too. It's kind of funny right now that you had to shave your beard due to the quarantine to help the mask fit better. And now that I'm home, because normally my work doesn't let us grow beards because of the military type style of it, which is fine. But I now have a full beard, and I'm loving it.
That's all.
Everything's switching. So
I wish I could say the same.
So you'll be playing Lumineth Realm Lords, and I'm going to be starting my Fire Slayers army. That's what's happening next, right?
There we go. Well, I did see the new rules for Eltharion, Light of Eltharion, so... Now that's the way you make a hero right there. That's good stuff right there. I need to give that treatment to some of my corn bros.
Yeah, man, he was a treat to put on the table for playtesting, and I can't wait for that whole arm to be out because one, I want to talk about so much, but we can't.
Right.
But yeah, his rules are great, and I'm glad he's definitely more of the warrior aspect type of deal. So brutal.
He kind of reminds me back. I don't know if you remember back in the fantasy days when he had the blindfold on and all that. Came off the Griffin, and it's kind of a special model release. He had rules in a white dwarf, but he was pretty cool.
So I have that model, and I painted it up, but I never played the rules when that was what he was, because there was one edition of the High Elf rules that I have, because I have all the old battle tomes where that's what his lore was, and then they retconned it back for some reason. Which is,
did they really?
Yeah, he went back to just being the Grim, and had the eagle, and that's how he died in the end times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love him as the blind
Griffin.
Yeah. Although I love them as the blind swordmaster, but did you check out Soulbound at all yet? The new Age of Sigmar role playing game by Cubicle 7?
I just saw it online today. I just heard about it. I haven't actually looked into it yet, but it sounds interesting. So
I picked it up, and we'll dive into it together, and I'm sure we'll do a podcast on it because Matt got it as well. But
so it's actually out.
So you can pre-order the physical copy, but when you do, you get the PDF copy immediately.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I might have to do that.
Yeah, like I said, for the cost to get that immediately, plus you get all the character sheets and you get a nice high-res map of the Great Parch. It's definitely worth it. Even if you never play the game, if you're just an Age of Sigmar lore fan, there's a ton of lore in it. There's some fantastic art. But
sounds awesome.
But to tie into Eltharion being the blind swordmaster, it describes Tyrion a little bit in it. While he doesn't have a lot in the lore section, it talks about him having like a silver blindfold because he's blind. So like I think he's going to be like that motif of the blind swordmaster, at least on some part. And
yeah.
I want that so bad.
Yes. That's like keep hoping that his side of the faction looks a little different, maybe a little more towards Eltharion. I don't know, but that'd be what I was looking for in that army.
It's been weird because having so much time to not hobby, since I don't have hobby other than the Nova terrain, which I haven't started yet. I just set it out, and then I put all the stuff that I'm cleaning in my basement around it, so I have to finish cleaning my basement before I do any painting. So to fill that time, I've been looking at just old stuff as I've been cleaning, and looking at like old high elf and dark elf and wood elf art, which is a weird rabbit hole that can get really crazy, especially when you start dabbling into the dark elf end. There's there's more than a fair share of pictures of Marathi and Ilariel that I do not want to see ever again, and I wish I could scrub from my mind's eye. Those fan arts get a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But just to say that it was kind of like a weird nostalgia trip, and it's been making me like find love again of the high elves that didn't go away, but like didn't carry over into Age of Sigmar. Right. So it's like I've been getting a little bit more excited for Lumineth. But yeah,
I've my hobby has come to I won't say a screeching halt because I've been putting together terrain and stuff, but I've been trying to avoid playing Total War Warhammer 2 for the longest time because I knew what it would do to me. I knew I would just get sucked in. I knew I would just play it for hours and hours and hours, and that's what's going on right now. So I think I've restarted the same campaign about 6 times now. I haven't beat it yet because I'm terrible at the game, but yeah, that it's queuing up all that nostalgia for me as well. So I'm actually kind of furious that they don't have Eltharion in that game for Ybris.
However
you pronounce it.
Did you see the trailer of the expansion that's dropping?
They
literally just dropped the trailer. It's Eltharion versus Grom the Paunch. They're putting him. So it's coming out.
That's my original 4th ed. Okay. God.
So don't
tempt me, Frodo.
I think at near the end of May it's coming out.
That's too good. That's too good.
Listen, you need to watch that trailer as soon as we're done with this recording because you are gonna see him and go like, ooh.
I played that original campaign that came in that box set, and I can tell you, like, I can probably still I can kind of almost see the scenarios laid out in front of me because my brother and I played those so many times with the paper card units and everything. Oh, it was great. Actually, never want to go back to that, but it was great for the time.
Yeah, it's a happy memory and it can stay there. I actually
exactly.
I don't think I mentioned this when I was talking with Matt, but one of the recent hobby things I did was I had probably about a year ago literally rebased all of my old elves, Dark Elf, Wood Elf, High Elf, and just put them on the rounds. My Wood Elves I based up to match my Sylvaneth to use them as allies. And this was all before Cities of Sigmar when I rebased all of it. And then I pulled out a bunch of Dark Elves to make an Anvil Guard list so I can kind of pair it with the story of where I'm taking Teyrathi. And then the rest of that, plus all my high Elves, which I said is, I think 13,000 points if you use the old points is what I had of those high Elves. And finally put the flock down on them. Just a classic green flock that I had when it was squares. Just to, and like I knew I was doing it, and I was probably never going to touch these models for a long time because they're fully retired now and they're in their resting place.
Yes.
But yeah, like
sounds so final. Goodness.
Well, I got more than my money's worth of all those models, and with most of those models officially being like cut from the line, even though, like I said, Soulbound still talked a lot about White Lions and Eldritch Council. So
yeah,
what will be with that, but I was happy to just make them look as great as possible, so if I ever want to display them on a shelf or in a case, that I'm good to go. But I have no intention of trying to resurrect them into a new army.
It's interesting that they put that in a Soulbound.
Well, I mean, it's technically it's in the base rules. I think that was all done before the decisions were made. And I mean, let's be honest, the Cities of Sigmar decisions were all very business decisions of what was cut.
Sure.
So
yeah, gotta have room on the shelves. I get that.
Yeah. I am surprised that we kept as much of the Dark Elf stuff as we did, but I guess we gotta keep some elves in there, right?
Right, until the new hotness comes. I'm waiting on bated breath to see what that looks like. But
it's Lumineth Realm
Malarian elves. I want to see Malarian stuff. I want to give that a gander first before I commit to any elves.
Well, see, I'm curious because, I mean, if you listen to like almost any show, Soul Wars has dragged on for a long time, and not much has happened. So I think we're kind of getting ready. This whole COVID delay aside, I think we're gonna start advancing the story again in some fashion, which will be exciting in its own right. So
yeah, I think it's primed for Archaon's kind of gone in, if you've been following the lore and everything through Soul Wars, and he's started to chew away at the chains of Slaanesh. I think it's gonna be going to be Slanesh time here pretty soon. It's going to probably go and focus on the elves a little bit more. That's my opinion, because it seems to me like the obvious route to go next with all these guys coming out here. Kind of speak a little bit more about those two realms, because for the longest time we don't really know what's going on there. So even with the battle tomes coming out and everything, it's still kind of mysterious what that whole situation is over there. So
yeah, I mean, we're gonna learn a lot. We're gonna learn a lot about Hayesh. I'm certain Olgu will still be very much a mystery, I think, till we actually probably get Malarian, because we have Marathi and she's Olgu based, and we don't really still know that much.
Yeah, I think we'll have maybe a parallel Skaven release there with Malarian as well, because I know there's 13 Isles, and the Shadow Realm has been talked about in the lore before, so I'll be interested to see how that pans out. But
that's true. No,
that's just me.
No,
that's just me guessing.
You got to put those numbers together. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Although, do you think they'll ever release Slanesh in Age of Sigmar?
No.
Yeah,
no, I don't think any of the Chaos Gods are ever showing up on the table.
Well, I meant,
and I think as
not so much as like a released. I meant released from the chains, not necessarily appearing on the table.
Oh, I think so. I think it's got to happen, right? I mean, I think it's definitely going to happen. He's already broken how many chains? It's coming one way or the other. It's coming for sure. And how it happens and everything, it'll be. Surprised it hasn't happened in the Soul Wars yet with the Necroquake and all that. That seemed pretty well primed for that to happen, or something like that to happen. But
I don't know. It seems like
it's happening for sure.
It seems like such an easy plot device to keep kind of chained up. It's the Great Vortex now, essentially. It's that one thing that if the elves go, if this ever goes away, we're screwed. That's what the Great Vortex was. That's what Slanesh in prison is. Now, Slanesh is breaking out. I mean, that is obvious. But I don't know. I think it's going to be some while before we actually get that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I have a feeling they would not begin to release Slanesh until all the elves that they want to put out have been put out.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that in that lore, I don't want to give too much away for people who haven't gone into that most recent release. What was it called? Was it Wrath of the Everchosen?
Yep, Wrath of the Everchosen. Yeah. That's old now. So, we can go deep. Listen, if you don't like spoilers,
yeah. So I mean,
they didn't read it by now. They're not going to.
So spoilers here. But anyway, so he goes in there and he takes out one of the chains and he kills a bunch of the elves that are guarding it. And he basically says that as he leaves, he realizes that Tyrion and Teclis are going to go hide Slanesh now in some corner of. What are they called? Yeah, where he's not going to be able to find him again.
Not right away.
Anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
So now that Tyrion and Teclis are aware that some of these chains are being broken, you wonder if they're going to refortify that or what. So, he could certainly be put back in a box for a little while. But we'll see.
I don't know if they're aware that the chain's been broken because Slanesh keeps creating false ones. I guess
that's
it's
true.
Like how much. I guess what's the power of Slanesh compared to the elf gods? And you want to assume that Slanesh is still more powerful, but who knows? We'll see. I'm just excited to hopefully get more narrative soon to start creating some more interesting stories.
Right.
But
as I've been kind of stuck in quarantine here too, it's the whole narrative side of it is starting to creep into what I want to kind of do. As well, so it's kind of like I'm starting to think that way. I've got time to plan stuff out, make rules, so that's kind of in the back of my mind too. If I can ever pry my eyes away from Total War, it's knocking, it's coming. So I still planning on doing that tournament with Triumphant Treachery as well. So I want to do that and trying to figure out ways. So Ren 4 does 2 tournaments, as you know, through the year, and the Columbus guys are actually taking one of the tournaments in the winter. So that's probably more than likely going to be just a standard 2,000 points, 2-day grand tournament type deal.
Okay.
So I'm going to let them run wild with that, and then that leaves me to have a little bit more fun with the summer tournament. Turn that into sometimes we might do X, sometimes we might do Y, but it lets me play a little bit. trying to keep always a little bit of narrative focus in everything we do up here anyway, just so you kind of keep that feel of being in the realms. But I want to run a Triumphant Treachery tournament, 4 people to a table. And so winners go on to play winners of whichever table, and there's going to be some grand overarching narrative for where we end up. I believe what the end point is going to be at the 8 points. So you kind of play in all these realms, winners kind of progress, and then the final game is in the 8 points, right? So it's a battle for the 8 points.
Okay, I'm in. But I'm in.
I was looking at one of my friends at the shop. He has an old Triumphant Treachery from Fantasy Battles. Mm-hmm. And he was showing me a lot of the cards and everything that they have in there to try and get you to play more of that treachery style, that Triumphant Treachery style. So I'm going to take that and probably integrate that and kind of AOSify some of those rules as well. And just to kind of, so it's not just a straight, everybody kind of meets wherever, the guys on the corners just attack each other and vice versa. So it's still going to be pointed out. Still going to be 2,000-point armies.
Oh wow!
4 of them on the table. So
2,000 points.
We're talking some longer games, but only 2 games in the day. So total 4 games total on the weekend. And then at least that's the thought right now. And make it as nasty of a list as you possibly want to do, because if you've got a really bad list, then you might just have to take on 3 other people at the same time. So
you should
go nuts,
You should allow breaking of the rules. Say you only need 1 battle line, but you can't have more than 8 heroes. Just do something crazy with that, even, because I think that would just open up a lot of different armies to go weird ways.
Yeah, and the thing about it is what I tell people when people start hearing that and they think, oh well, I could break X, Y, and Z if you do that. I'm like, well, you still might have to take on, if it's really bad, you might have to take on 3 people on that table at the same time. So don't go too nuts. Otherwise, you might be doing a little 3-on-1 action there. So that's what I kind of like about Triumphant Treachery is it evens the playing field. If I look across the table and I see something that's that's no way I can beat that. Well, then you start to nudge the other guy next to you and point at it a little bit and say, that's got to go.
The first person to walk down any table, put Archeon down, everyone else looks at him and says, "You're dead.
You got to go.
You are not winning anything today."
So that's kind of what I like about the whole scenario there.
Could you do me a favor when you do this? Because I'm there for that. My favorite part about the old fantasy version of Triumphant Treachery, and as silly as it sounds, is there was the cards which had the symbols, and you would draw that instead of rolling dice. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I loved it is because my normal group around my hometown, we would play. There was 5 of us, and we'd play once a month, and they would be long games. Like I said, 2,000. And this, obviously, this was 8th edition, but I was always staff. Someone else was always axe. So we're drawing the cards, and you just hear axe, 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 and I'm like, no, staff. I don't know why, but that was one of my favorite parts. That and the physical coins, the actual physical. I don't want to write down how many I have. I want to actually slide a gold coin over across to you and say hey, do you want to go that way? And I think that's how we got.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'll figure that out.
I'll help.
Maybe we'll do gold dice, gold Renford dice. That'd be kind of cool. Those will be your coins. You slide them back and forth to people, and you get to keep the dice. So either you're keeping hordes of dice, or you're using them. Fun too.
I like that. So, they can even be rerolls. Well, I guess it's at Triumphant Treachery can be whatever a person says. I'll let you reroll this against me. And...
Right. So that's what's been on the docket actually for a few months, and I was going to start working on that when COVID hit, and so that's been put on the back burner. But I am currently working on putting together a crap ton of Warcry terrain. So I plan on turning one of our tables into an 8 points table using terrain and some various other stuff. So
that's fun.
I think it very old broken down Sigmar stuff, and then throw in some of the new terrain from the Corn altar. Just thrown around there a little bit, and just to try to give that a little bit of a home.
Yeah, no, I have some extra ruins still. Need some Azurite ruins. Down to my final
I can always
6
use
sets.
Azurite ruins too.
I just keep them for basing,
really?
but they're sitting here for basing, but I'm not basing anything like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But all right, so there's hobby in the mind, even if we're not actually hobbying fully right now. And technically, Total War. I mean, let's count it. That counts. And you're also playing your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing more hobby than me right now. I'm just recording podcasts and weaseling my way on to be guests on other people's podcasts. That's all I've
Well,
been
that's hobby too. That counts as well.
doing.
You're creating content.
I'm the lowest form of content. but but one of the things I want to definitely get to today is I want you to kind of tell folks in detail your origin story in Warhammer, where you began, your journey through it up all the way up till now, as much as you want to divulge in certain areas, and and I'll ask questions at inopportune times to take you off your train of thought, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I think I might have mentioned some of this stuff on podcasts in the past, but I'll shoot for it again. So, I started playing Warhammer. I think what actually started the love of this type of stuff was Hero Quest. So I started playing it. My dad bought that for me for Christmas. Played it with my younger brother nonstop to the point where we ran out of all those extra sheets for
Oh wow.
making your own board and everything. I mean, we played the heck out. We still have it. I think my younger brother has it, but I mean, the little furniture is probably long gone. Who knows what's happened to it? But we started out there, and from then, I think that next year, what I got for Christmas was Battle Masters. I don't know if you remember this game.
No.
But this is probably 92-ish. And Battle Masters was like Warhammer Light. Like it all came in a box.
Was it?
And you had what
was it actually
was
was
an
it Citadel?
Empire army.
Was it?
It was Citadel.
Okay, all right.
It was Citadel. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Milton Bradley that actually made the game, but it was licensed out from Citadel. Yeah. And so you had essentially what was they had a battle mat that I think was maybe 4 feet by 4 feet, somewhere around there. Maybe it's even bigger than that. It was a pretty sizable battle mat, and it had hexes all over it. In the middle was this big plastic tower. And you got guys that you put on these little movement trays, and they just fit right into the slot. Whatever you move the guys around, but you were essentially playing a Warhammer game. A couple dice here and there, and you're moving armies around. So that's where it started there. The other side was like an orcs and goblins army, but it had like chaos warriors in it, and it had beastmen in it.
Oh, just
so it had all the tropes. It's just like here's the bad guys kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it had knights, and you put like these, stickers on their lances for, the flags and everything, which I just ate that up when I was a kid. But so from there, then we progressed. The next year, my dad got me the 4th edition fantasy set, which was the elves and the goblins and the paper.
Oh, the paper
cardboard, towers and houses, which I think you still have at your shop. You've got some of that stuff hanging around.
I think we finally got rid of it.
Did you?
I did
That's
enough.
Almost a shame.
I did enough. Well, I actually have a bunch of that stuff still on its printed out sheet, like perforated sheet.
Yeah.
So if you want pristine copies, I still have them in my collection down here. But yeah, those older ones, they were beat up and taped, and I was like, I just gave them to some of the young kids. Like, here's terrain for your house.
Yeah, again, that's the age of books as hills, and whatever. And that box came with literally a picture of Eltharion on the Griffin, and
the bolt throwers were the same,
was that
right?
orc shaman on the the bolt throwers were on a piece of board cardstock or whatever, and you just moved those around, and that was good enough. And so I actually went into my first game shop, and you're buying the blister packs of like 2 goblins at a time, which cost, I don't know, $5 or whatever. And for me at that point, I think I'm 11 or 12 years old. And it's like, I need to buy an army of these, and they're costing $5 a piece. Well, there's only so much begging of my parents I can do before my dad on a teacher's salary is going to say no mas, So.
Yeah.
But it never really stopped. I kept collecting things, but we're talking back then, you might get a unit a year. So, I grew my high elves by the time I left for college. I had easily 4,000 points of them. And then my younger brother had about the same in Empire. And, we had these rules where you weren't allowed to play a unit until you painted the unit. Because my younger brother was not going to paint anything. And so I was like, you want to play me? You got to paint this stuff. So,
that's, man, that's good.
And he would. and he didn't like it. And he was very slow painter because he would do actually a really good job with it. But he was so slow with it. So we would play maybe 2 games a year. Maybe 2 games a year. And the kid would never read the rules either. So I was always the one who would have to read the rules. But so I would do that. I did that through high school. We did that until I left for college. And then, of course, as the story goes with so many, that once you go to college, that gets put away for a little while. And it did. Yep. And then towards the end of college, I started, looking back into it again. That's when 6th edition was out. And so I started to build up a little bit of a Dark Elf army in 6th edition, and actually started coming out of the house and finding game shops to play. And I used to go down to the Guard Tower in Columbus and play down there. Mm-hmm. And actually, one of the guys who helps me out with Ren 4 a lot, Bill Robertson, was running a forum at the time called the Central Ohio Wargaming Slackers. And so I got on his forum, radar, and I got in with that club for a little while. I played down there in through 7th edition. And while 7th edition was going on, that's when I went back to grad school for physical therapy school and all that. And so I wound up leaving Ohio and going down to Virginia for a little while. Again, Warhammer got put on the back burner. Through grad school, I would buy a unit, paint a unit here or there. I'd listen to Garage Hammer to just kind of keep up with the time. Garage Hammer, Helo Hammer, the Black Sun. I'd listen to all of them just to kind of stick with it. Then I moved back to Ohio, started having kids, and when that happens for the first year or two, then it goes away again. But I always kept my eye on it. And one day I came back and I just wanted to see what was going on. And the world had blown up.
Everything you know is gone.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, what? So I wasn't around for the 8th edition where they did the...
Did you miss all of the end times?
I missed all of the end times. So I had no idea that was happening. You always had this kind of feel. Like I was there for Storm of Chaos when, they were trying to run that global campaign that,
Oh, yeah.
I think wanted to end with Grimgore punching Archeon in the face and then going, never mind.
He Ed-butted him, declared himself the winner, and walked away. The end.
Yeah, come on, man. Finish him. Oh, man. But it reminds me of Bloodsport when, that guy takes out Chung-Li for that half second and then gets wrecked.
Yep.
So, getting a little off topic there, but
that's a good off topic.
But yeah, so I came back and world's blown up, and I was as shocked as everybody else, but I wasn't like go out and burn my army shocked.
You weren't that person burning your models in the video.
No. I was a little disappointed at the time. But by the time I had found out that the world had blown up, there was also Age of Sigmar was new and fresh and had just came out. So if we go back to me and my younger brother playing these games here and there, and I'm trying to read through that Bible of rules, and I'm the only one who's reading it, and half the time a game would take us 5.5 hours, easy, because we'd be just looking up rules.
Until dinner's ready and your mom's hollering.
Oh, yeah, easy. And you'd leave and come back to the game the next day or whatever, and I could never imagine having gone to a tournament at any point in my younger days playing that, because there's no way. I mean, I can barely remember the rules now, as many of the players who have played against me can attest. But back then, it would have just been impossible. So I was actually very happy to see the Age of Sigmar rules come out. Everything was simplified. For a heartbeat, I missed the old chart, with the strength and the weapon skill and toughness and all that. But then, I'm like, threes. Here's my rend.
Man,
what's your save kind of thing. I can't beat that.
I was overjoyed whenever I saw that chart go away. I was like, oh, thank goodness. I can never remember it anyway.
I mean, I explained it to my 7-year-old, and she has a pretty good grasp of it.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go diving into the rules.
Yep.
We can actually have a fun game downstairs with these rules.
Actually,
so even at the most basic level.
Actually, what might be fun is to go off topic more for maybe one of your future Ren 4s after Triumphant Treachery. I still kept PDF copies of all the original rules for Age of Sigmar.
I found all the high elf ones and everything down in the basement, actually, as I was cleaning up just recently.
I think I have all of them saved as PDF. If not, I know I could get them again if I needed to. But I think that would be fun where everyone has to bring that. Like, go back to, like, AOS 1.0 Wild West days. And just maybe the only caveat is you have to stay within your army. Because then I would pull out all of my old high elves and bring them to this.
There you go. Well, if the legacy, deal ever actually becomes a thing, it doesn't seem like it's too much of a thing at the moment. Legacy tournaments and stuff like that, but they'll make it a little bit easier on that route.
Well, they haven't. I don't know. They haven't really updated the legacy section, and I've heard or legends. That's it. But I even thought about trying to do like a small 1-day 3-game Legends format at Nova whenever it does finally come out. It seems like it could be fun. It would not be like people would come to that thinking competitive. No, it's it's just for some fun.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, so that came out, and actually I love the Sigmar rules so much that, and I'm a guy who, one of the things about Age of Sigmar, or not Age of Sigmar, but about this hobby in general, is for somebody who is just leaving their house and going into a game shop for the first time, it is a very intimidating social experience. Right? You walk into a game shop, you don't know a soul in there. You walk in, everybody kind of turns around and gives you the fisheye for a second just to see who in the hell you are.
Are they worthy?
Yeah, right. And and then they go back to their games, and you peruse the thing, and you feel weird asking, trying to, you don't want to interrupt anybody's game, but you're trying to ask about this whole thing. So I was lucky enough to had run into a shop that had just opened, so there really wasn't that scenario going on so much there, and I was the only one there that was interested in AOS at the time. So I would bring all my high elf armies, the Empire army. I would bring stuff, and I'd just bring multiple armies, and I'd say, anybody wants to come and sit down and play me, and I'd just leave it out there. I'd stay in the shop for 5 hours, just wait for somebody half interested to show up and play with me. So then I finally eventually got a couple guys who would come in and start playing, and so at one point we were like, do you want to start a club? We're like, yeah, let's start a club, right? So we started a club, and this Ren 4, is what we came up with, and started with 3 guys, and 2 of those guys I don't actually often play with anymore. But then Dave Rope joined in, and Dave's been kind of my right hand man here.
We need
for most of our tournaments.
We need to get Dave on the podcast at some point in the future.
We do. I know he's an avid listener.
We're up to 4. We're up to 4 listeners.
Him and my mom, they're listening in every week. So, but yeah, so we started playing together, and the whole reason I got into the whole thought behind the club was understanding just how hard that social experience is to coming in and to trying to find games, because I realized that one of the big things when in podcasts and just in general when the game AOS really first came out was it's your hobby kind of thing, right? So some people love to paint, some people love to play games, some people like to play games in game shops, some people don't want anything to do with that. So I tried to find a way to make all that meet together. So I came up with this Facebook page, and I developed a hobby hero system that was basically you could play no matter where you were, right? You could participate in this Facebook page and participate in the hobby in whatever way you enjoyed the hobby, but still be participating with everybody else on the page. So if you like to paint, we developed this point system for painting. We developed a point system for playing games, and you could do either or, you could do both. If you played games in your basement and you posted pictures of it, then that counted too. If you went to a shop and you played a game and you posted pictures of it, then that counts too. And that way you're actually participating in the community, and sometimes without having to really break in to that scenario of going into the shop. You get to know people a little bit before, and hopefully what it eventually does is it gets people out of their basements and gets people out to events. We started doing more events here and there. We started small. I think the first one we had was 8 people. Then we went to 10 or 12 for the first one that you showed up at, Chuck. Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way.
Was that the singles or was that the doubles for the first
That was a singles. The first one we did was a singles, and we had 12 people. Yeah, and I think half of them were from Ligonier.
No, I remember I brought my corn, and I did not win a single priority until turn 4 of the final game.
Yeah.
That was
There's been a few.
That was an ass kicking that day.
Yeah,
it was a great event. It was a great event. It was an ass kicking.
I don't know about a great event, but it was an event. So we started small. So and we're still small too. And I don't really mind that too much. What I try to do with my events, and I'll grow them as big as they need to get. I don't mind going up even upwards of 50. I was even thinking about expanding it to 50 for the next tournament for Ren 4. But I really want to use it as a tournament system where people can come and they can play. And if you've never played in a tournament before, you can come to this tournament and play and not feel like, you can feel like this is a learning experience for going to play at like Adepticon or one of the other bigger tournaments. It's something that can kind of ease you into, hey, here's a tournament. It's match play. Some of the armies are going to be cutthroat, but hey, you know what? It has some of these narrative elements in it too, because maybe your hobby is the narrative, right? Maybe your hobby is the match play stuff. So again, just this kind of trying to include the entire community and what they like, and try. And if you try, whenever you try and put everything into one thing, it's never going to tick all the boxes for everybody. Right.
I don't know.
I wanted to do.
You've done a good job though. You've done a very good job though, because one that hobby style system, like the hobby hero, and what it turned into this year before you had to put it on pause. I haven't seen that anywhere else, and I haven't seen it anywhere before, and it's definitely a unique thing. And each time you're always improving and learning and changing things, because something you'll be like, oh well, this rule could be tightened up for this format, and then this, but then the events. I mean, it's obvious you attract many types of people. So you have narrative people like myself and Tyler Mangold, and you have very more casual type people just like the play, and then you've also attracted Relian and Bill Souza and even TJ Lanigan, the heavy hitters that will come out and duke it out, and they can't forget Roger either, definitely one of always top placings. But I don't know, I think you've ticked all the boxes pretty well, and the fact that you have the group set up in the way it does is everyone knows each other, that I've never seen any issues at your events.
Yeah. So one thing that's nice about the Hobby Hero thing is we do our prize support randomly. So
yeah,
if you sign up for the tournament, you get a certain amount of tickets, right? And so you take the tickets, and it's kind of like a blind auction. We've kind of changed it. We kind of change things season to season, but how we most recently been doing it is you got a paper bag, and you got something listed underneath of it, and say, well, so if you can put all your tickets into that bag, you can spread them across. So hopefully what happens is if you do win something, you're winning something that you want. Because I think a lot of the times when they do just random prize support, like, well, here you got this box of Griffhounds. Well, I don't even play Stormcast, and I've got a box of Griffhounds, and I don't know what I'm going to do to it, so I'll just give it to somebody else, which is fine and a good way to do things too. But this, hopefully, if you do win something, then you're winning something that you want to keep. But the way we expand that and give you more of a chance to win is if you participate in the Hobby Hero and you're posting things. And really, it's not that big of a deal. You post pictures on a Facebook page, and you go to another page to kind of input what you did, and you get points for it. So as you accrue those points, a certain number of them, let's just say 10. 10 points gets you an extra ticket, and an extra ticket, and an extra ticket. So the more you're participating on the page, the more people are seeing you, the more people are interacting with you. You start to get to know people on the page, and that's really the point of it. And there's this added bonus where you might actually win something if you come to the tournament. And so then it's a little extra draw too to come to the tournament, so you get some benefit after participating in the hobby. So
not to mention,
but of course,
that it always leads into like hobby Skype calls or hangouts, with the group. You'll just post up like, hey, I'm gonna be on Messenger tonight. Message me and join the chat, which is always great.
Yeah, and for anybody out there who's listening to this too, if you're on Ren 4, when I put those up, anybody can join on. I know it's like. That's the whole social, kind of like, oh, well, I'm on this bit, but I don't really know this guy. But I mean, I don't care whether I know you or not. I'll get to know you if you jump on that Skype call, So really, it's just there to get hobbyists together,
So
we all enjoy the same stuff.
We may poke fun at you if you have kids screaming in the background and loud TVs on, but we won't shame you. We'll just poke fun.
Right. Oh no, we'll shame you for sure, but in the nicest way possible.
I think you should and I should join you too. Cause what was it? It was Sundays. We were doing. Was it Saturday or Sunday mornings when we were doing like the early morning dad hangouts?
Yeah. That was with Mike. Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Shout out to Mike. I don't know. I want to bring those back just because, man, I always get the most done in the morning. Like if I want a hobby and it's late at night, I'll drag and do this. But like I wake up before dawn, and I get paint flowing. I could have a unit done. You know, like before my wife's awake, and I'm just like, hot damn.
Right. If I wake up in the morning, it's like a clock gets turned on, and you're just waiting to hear the first footsteps come down the stairs because you know they're coming.
See, actually, that was another thing I enjoyed. Since I don't have kids, I got to experience the joy in your face whenever your little daughter would come down and be like, tug on your sleeve, like, I want pancakes. You're like, I done hobbying, I go make pancakes. I was like, okay, see ya.
Yeah. Well, the more I convert her, she can just pop up in the seat next to us here and go for it. So
there you go. That'd be fun.
That's a dream.
But yeah, I mean that's a pretty long time in the hobby.
Yeah. So 94 to what does that make it? 26 years. Yikes! I'm getting old.
You're only as old as you think you are.
As the gray in your beard. Yeah.
Just keep shaving, right?
Yeah. Nobody can tell. Shaves about 10 years off my face.
Hey, I have one gray hair on my head.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I do love. I love going on Twitter and seeing the guys like Wayne Kemp who've been at this a long time too, a little bit longer than I have actually, and but they'll post up stuff from those old days, and I don't ever want to go back to those models, but to see them and to actually see the old style with the Goblin Green bases and the painted sand on the top and everything. Yeah. It's just something special about those days. But we'll leave them in the nostalgia where they belong. But I still love to see it.
It is fun if you're you want to do that sort of theme with a modern paint style. Mm-hmm. Going for that old aesthetic. I've thought about it too for a weird one-off thing, because I actually have an entire unopened spray can of Goblin Green.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made that in spray cans. That's hilarious.
I didn't either. I walked into my my local game store, and my shop owner was like, "Hey, I found a bunch of stuff that I don't want, and you might want it." So a can of old Dark Angel Green, Goblin Green, and then some testers and stuff. But I'm just looking at this I know a lot of people that would want this.
Yeah, that actually sounds amazing.
Even do a Goblin Green board, a smooth plywood board. Do the bases. Maybe grab that old cardboard terrain. I don't know, just a throwback table. But it's I would do it, and then it'd be like, now what?
What was the old blue? There's an old blue that I just that was a go-to back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Hold on here.
Can't think of it. Great radio right now.
Hawk Turquoise? No.
No, I think it was Lothern something or other.
Hold on. I got the old pots right here. Enchanted Blue.
There it is.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have my old pots out. They're probably. I wonder are you dried over? Yep, that's
the old black pots.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept them. Just nostalgia. I could clean them out. They actually aren't terrible pots. I do like them.
I've got some old ink still from back in the day that just you open them up and the smell almost knocks you out. You're just getting high as you're putting it on your mouths.
Oh jeez. Yeah, some of those were kind of rough.
Yeah, but that's pretty much my history in gaming. Right now, I game at Battlegrounds in Ravenna, Ohio. I live in Twinsburg, but make the trip down there. It's an excellent shop. If you're in the area around here, Northeast Ohio, check them out. And eventually we can go in and start playing again. They've got something like 15 tables. The tables are high, which is really nice, so you're not breaking your back while you're playing all night long. So
yeah,
it's a big shop, lots of merchandise on the shelves. So
yeah,
we'll shout out to him. But.
Very, very friendly owners and staff. Amazing shop. They're always welcoming to the Run 4 event too. We take over that shop for a weekend. Yeah, and it's so nice. And yeah, those tables are. I mean, you've done a great job on the terrain. And two, those tables being higher and having storage beneath. I'm stealing that idea when I put my table in a basement. Like I just have plywood on a table right now because I know I'm going to build a table like what you guys have in that shop because it's so nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys know this, but he's actually let us play that tournament. Basically, I've not had a venue cost. So I've been able to take all that money and put it into prize support and everything else from our, which has made it a little bit nicer for prize support for getting all the mats to build the tournament up. I mean, just to get one extra table, if you think about it, if playing full price, you're looking at a $70 game mat.
Yep.
And depending on whether you have a $3 or 3D printer or not, if you're doing GW terrain, you're looking at a couple $100 just for a table. So that's at least four to five, maybe six entry fees for an extra table. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you want to actually have stuff left over for prize support afterwards too. So it goes a whole. If anybody's wondering what it takes to run one of these tournaments, it takes the dollar bills. It certainly does. So.
Yeah, no, I'm still trying to figure out with my club to get rid of our old felt mats to get those nice new neoprene mats. It's there's a club used felt whenever I started. It's just carried over, and now it's just we got to just gather up the money, do a little collection, and be like, come on guys, we need these mats. We all know they're better.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
I'll tell you what,
you always pursue tables.
You could always run a tournament there and charge the same that they charge for a GT, and I would pay it, knowing that the caveat that you guys are taking that and going to get mats and stuff like that and build the tournament. I know I personally would always invest in something like that, regardless whether I was playing on felt for that amount of money or not. Just to even grow it. So
actually, I am looking to do a narrative style event. Actually, I talked to Matt, and you're next to talk to off air till we get stuff. But want to see if the three of us want to do it. Like I have a brainchild in my head, and it's all because I went to Realms at War and Holy Havoc. I want to bring that to this area here, especially because you have the tables that are just stunning. Like I said, so if you look at the two major narrative events, Realms at War and Holy Havoc / Holy Wars, Steve Herner does amazing stuff with tables, absolutely amazing. The closest I've seen to it is what you've done, and I'm not gonna upset you by saying that like you're still maybe like halfway to Steve's level.
I would say I'm a far cry from Steve's level, but I'll, just to be mentioned anywhere in the realm is a compliment. So.
You're definitely higher than a lot because of the theming you put into your tables. I mean, and then essentially with that, but like I want to take and marry that type of concept with the pageantry that is Realms at War. Like I felt like I was playing in Realms at War for 7 months until it actually happened with prep, and then the year after I did my own version at home where I just kind of like joined in on the narrative even though I didn't get to play in the event.
Right.
And I'm gonna make my way back to one because I want to go back to Cambridge. It's so beautiful. But like I said, regardless, I want to do that here, and I'm thinking like start with 12 people, but I'd like to have at least those 6 tables set up with those mats and that high level terrain. So. We'll see. Because then what I can do too is then, that money's going to go into the club. And I want it to be a 2-day event. There is a hotel in town. I started looking at pricing. That was before everything happened, so who knows what's going to be now. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'd definitely be in for that. So we'll talk off air. We'll come up with something. So.
Yeah, I got lots of ideas. Or maybe the three of us, me, you, and Matt, will get on a call. And I'll just record it, and we'll just put it out there.
Yeah,
it's content. It's the lowest form of content.
You've seen that mountain on my home table, so I can go pretty nuts when I need to. So,
say
the word.
Oh yeah. It's we'll go nuts, and I don't know. I might be burning Anthony Pulcastro out with all the Nova train he's done for us, but maybe I can get a few more things. Strictly for this event.
Yeah, actually, I've been talking to. I've not committed to it yet, so I haven't talked to him yet. But I may be hitting him up on a DM at some point and trying to find out a little bit more about 3D printing, because that is really the next evolution. I see, the next, I would say Steve Herner, and then I'd have to say NashCon's tables with some of the terrain that they have for the size of the tournament they run is really impressive.
Well, a lot of what
I don't know
NashCon
if that's
has.
what all their tables look like, but if that's what every single table looks like, man, I'd give them the nod over me any day.
Well, hey, I mean, really nice a lot of NashCon's tables are in part due to Anthony, so he's be the one to talk to if you're gonna.
Right. So yeah, figure that out.
Actually, that's a lot too. Like I've seen some pieces of terrain in the PAL for Nova. I'm just like, hey, I've seen those at NashCon. Not that I've been to NashCon, I've just seen pictures. NashCon, that's on my bucket list. The problem is it's right before Nova.
Right.
It's just like, I think last year was the same weekend, which is like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what the future has. And shout out to NashCon, David, as well, because they opened for registration.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully if they're not sold out, definitely go check out. It's an event well worth going to. I'm just sad I haven't made it to myself.
I will make it to one eventually. With me working where I do, I don't know how many tournaments I'm actually going to get to. May have to even decommit from some coming up here, but we'll see. I'm still kind of wait and see approach right now.
Have you made a decision on Midwest Meltdown?
It's probably going to be a no. I would say 90%. At this point, until we get some medication that's actually treating this a little bit better, or a vaccine. It's with me going into the house of COVID every day, I don't know how responsible it would be for me to go to a tournament, and then on top of that, I have asthma, so I'm a high risk person as well. So if I was to get it, probably not so good. So I want to try to avoid that as best I can. So
no, that's all fair points.
Yeah,
and right now that puts me at possibly dropping myself, just because I'm not up for that long of a drive by myself.
Right.
And all this said, if Domus, if you're for some reason listening to this podcast, thank you. I love you. If I decide to drop, he's keeping my money. I'm like, put it towards the event, whatever. Here. Yeah, like absolutely. I don't want money back. But I right now I am still planning on trying to go. Well, I'm not making my final decision yet on that, but
as a TO, I consider my registration for any tournament final, and it is if I can't make it, it is a donation to your cause. Because I know how hard it is to try and plan for these things. Have to buy things in time. And then, you have to buy them ahead of time. You just do. And then if you were trying to make nice tables or whatever you're trying to do with terrain, that stuff has to come in first. It's got to get painted. It's got to get down on the tables. And then, to have something like what's going on right now, as far as Adepticon went, and, even going into Midwest Meltdown and anything else, which, hopefully that's going to be a go for some.
Yeah, I don't know, because
it's just a lot you have to do ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm just cancellations are so weird right now, because Nova is still planning to happen right now. Obviously, it's far enough out. But I mean, if they said, "Hey, we're not going to have Nova," outside of being heartbroken, it's like I would understand, because ReaperCon, which is the same weekend, already canceled, and they're moving to an online format. Granted, they're definitely more about painting, so I guess that suits them just fine. But yeah, I don't know. And then even Matt and I were looking at going to LVO beginning of next year. Yeah. We've already talked and said, like, we're just not going to do it next year, maybe the year after.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's an interesting time. And then like it's a balance of like, okay, what's smart, and dear God, I want to play Warhammer.
Yeah. And the thing is too, with me not going to not being able to go to some of these tournaments, again, Nova's probably not happening for me either, and I don't play in Nova, but I do help you with that, which sucks, because I don't like to feel like I'm letting anybody down. But.
So this is a bit of an inside joke. I was actually buying you a stamp this year, the Neil Proof stamp.
Oh no, that'd have been so good.
I'll buy it, but you won't get to use it till. You can use it at your next event. I'll bring it to you for Ren 4.
We were doing it at the last one too, at Ren 4. So good.
That's awesome.
Inside joke there, but but yeah, so I know with all the money that I'm saving, who knows? Maybe there might be an overseas trip to England. I've always kind of wanted to go to Heel and Hammer's GT. Was it
South Coast?
South Coast GT?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's been kind of a plan outside of going to Realms of War. I think that would be the one that I'd want to try and get to, just because of the extent of the tournament. And I've always just loved those guys on their podcast and everything. It's kind of sad to see them go, but I understand with life how that and with doing this kind of thing for as long as they did, how that can and I know they're play testers and everything else, so it was a lot. So I get that for sure. So, but I would love to go and support the tournament for sure at some point.
Yeah, I definitely think I made a good decision and a bad decision by going to Realms of War first. Because originally I was like, I want to go to South Coast. I'd like to go to Face Hammer GT. I'd like to hit Ben Curry's Blood and Glory. I was like, I want to hit all of these, and obviously also get to like a heat at Warhammer World. And I went to Realms at War, and turned it into a big London trip with the wife, and went Nottingham for a day. But Cambridge is so beautiful. Realms at War was so amazing that every time I look going back, like even when I asked my wife, I'm like, "Hey, do you want to do another England trip?" She's like, "Yeah, you're gonna play in Realms at War again." I'm like, "Yeah." Like it's because like that, and I need to get to a Holy Wars. Holy Havoc was great as teams, but I would like to do a Holy Wars and like a solo narrative, because it's like that's all I want to do. Those two events. Can I just do those two events?
Yep. So and speaking of Holy Wars too, Steve Herner's been kind of a driving force for some of the things that I've done too with the tournament, and I've kind of I always ask whenever this happens, but I try to incorporate things that I see from other tournaments around that I like. Like I talked to Domus recently because I really love what he's done with Midwest Meltdown with the free Underworlds warband.
Yep.
Coming in, I just think that's really cool, right? So,
because
I love those models. I think the rules aren't always really up to snuff for some of them, to actually be usable units that you're going to want to put in your army. But the models are so good, like I want to see them on tables, and so that's a great way to go about it. Use it as a free summon, and so I've incorporated that. At least I was planning on incorporating that. We'll see when the next tournament happens, but it'll be a thing eventually for us as well, since I've got his blessing there. So,
well, maybe we should we'll get Matt involved again, and we'll have to find a fourth, but maybe the four of us look at a long trip, like a carpool over to the next Holy Havoc, which would be next November, because that might be good timing for stuff to be opened back up, and just because that way like Steve's tables look amazing in pictures, but oh my god, when you see them and play on them, it's a whole new level.
Yeah, and I love what he does with like the holy wounds and just some of the extra rules. I think what sometimes with narrative styled events, one of the problems you get into is over too much complexity, too many rules, too many separate rules, to where I know how to play the game, but now I have to like learn a whole other set of rules to figure out how to play in the tournament. You get a pack this thick, and I think he does a really good job of, there's additional rules to it, but it's not, from what I've seen, what I've gathered, it doesn't seem like it overtakes, it's not hard to wrap your brain around what's going on those tables.
No. And like I said, all the rules are printed out, like the special rules are printed out, laid out clearly, and nice sized war scrolls for the table. The one great thing that I will say is when Matt and I got to Holy Havoc the night before, Vince and Tom of Warhammer Weekly grabbed us and said, hey, let's play a game. One, because we want to play a game with you, and two, you definitely want to play a game with Holy Havoc rules before the tournament, because there's a brief like 1 or 2 rounds of like, what the hell's going on, because it's another level to keep track of, but once you place it in your brain, you're good to go.
And that's a lot of narrative events too, because there's just a little added complexity.
Yeah, it's Steve puts it all on the table, which is great. as opposed to being like the game's the same, but the pageantry's off the table. It's all on the table. So it's just like once you wrap your head around it, it's flawless.
Yep. Yeah, I'd love to do it. It's definitely on the hobby bucket list for sure.
Well, we'll get Dave. We'll have to get Dave.
Yeah, Dave is going out to a Midwest Meltdown as well. So
wait, is he still going?
He was waitlisted. He's waitlisted. So.
Okay.
But yeah, he was planning on coming out. It's always hard to get Dave to anything that's a quote unquote competitive. Dave's funny because he acts like he's this big narrative player and everything. But if you get him in the game, boy, that
he
man
gets
wants
competitive.
to win. And if he was sitting on this thing right now, he can't defend himself.
Nope.
He would tell me that's not true. But no, it's back in there.
Well, I'll reach out to him then and see, because maybe he'll want a carpool if he's wanting to go and he gets in. We'll see. Like I said, it's still all of unknown at this point because
right.
I don't know. The government can't figure out what they want to do, and all I know is all the people are sick and fed up with it. So we're eventually just gonna start doing what we want anyway.
Yeah. Right.
But,
crazy.
Yeah, actually, that would be fun if we get me, you, Matt, and Dave for Holy Havoc. That'd be so good.
Holy Havoc is
the team.
Is it
it's
the teams?
Yep, that's the teams.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, yeah, because maybe Matt and I would go back as a team again, or maybe we'd mix up the teams. I don't know.
God, I'd love to steal Matt from you one day. Just do a Caradron Bros.
We can do that. I'll go with Dave. Does he have anything but lizards?
He's got Beast Claw as well.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Well, right? It's all father for the daughters of Cain.
Right.
Oh.
I don't think you're ever going to see him with any pointy elves. It's unfortunate.
Pointy elves. What do you think of?
I will say too.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go.
I was curious what your thought was. Games Workshop put out on the Warhammer community website an article about the next White Dwarf, and it has some stuff with Lumineth in it because I think they were meant to be out by now, obviously. And it showed off the spearmen, but we're going to call them pikemen. With really, they got some length.
Yeah, historically accurate, right?
Yep.
I took an ancient, you take these weird electives in college, and obviously with the Warhammer background and fantasy, I took this ancient. I can't remember what the class was called, but it's basically ancient battles and whatever.
Yeah.
They teach you about what was going on in the warfare back then, and hoplites and everything. The hoplites are the guys with the real long spears, and so historically accurate.
Yep.
But I would break every single one of those. I'm sure within a couple weeks. Wouldn't trust me to do it. I'd have to be on my magnetizing game. I think pretty much 100%. But yes, that makes me a little nervous. But sure, why not?
Yeah.
Hopefully they get some ridiculous range, 3-inch, 4-inch range, or something that's just stupid.
Yeah, there'll be something for sure. Because even the old High Elf spearmen, I hated putting those in foam, and they were so simple anyway. It's like these. It's like I don't know. Can I get like a gel medium to put my models in that will just not stick to them? I can pull them out.
I've lost my love for the foam personally. I think I see these guys with the magnetized trays and everything and cases and all that. That just seems I'm starting to magnetize a lot more, and I think I like that a little bit more than the foam. I still use foam, but
yeah,
it's kind of hard to.
I'm still foam as well, at least until I start getting more and more plastic witch elves. Because the metal witch elves, I'm just going to leave those in foam. They work just fine because they're a single piece. But I'm sorry, what were you going to say earlier?
Oh, just talking about events that we like and everything else. I just the scene that we have up here, and I'll say one thing about the AOS scene from where we started, from going backwards, kind of backtracking the podcast here a little bit, but where we started with AOS and just the community that AOS has, and we talk about how difficult it is to sometimes feel like you can kind of break into that club or whatever. I'm so proud of the people that we bring to the Ren 4 events. I don't know a bad guy that shows up. I don't know that guy that shows up to these things. I just really love playing with everybody that comes through there, and that's just not lip service either. There's some genuine great guys out of Columbus, guys from the local area, guys from out of Pennsylvania, the Michigan guys. I used to look at those guys with terror in my eyes if I ever wound up across from them at like a Adepticon or something. But getting to know a few of them, now has been a lot of fun too. So. I mean, it's a great scene right now.
Yeah, it's wonderful too, because I keep pushing this narrative, whether you or Mike, who kind of the head honcho for Steel City Sigmar, the Pittsburgh crew, I keep pushing this narrative that Ligonier, Pittsburgh, and Ren 4 are just our sister clubs, because we just all go in between each other so much, because it's all three are great scenes with great people. Yeah, and like I said, whenever you say like your scene, like I picture all of that, because I can't not separate it at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't get if you took Pennsylvania out of our draws for our tournaments. I think we'd be half as full. So, thank you.
Hey, we like to come and take your trophies, Ohio.
Right. Yeah. We don't win our trophies. That's not something we do in Northeast Ohio. We like to give trophies out. We don't ever win them.
Well, now that Detroit's coming down, I don't know.
Right now, no, the Bill Zuzas and the Relians and there's a Jake who's down. That's just not. No, it's not. Tell you what, we got Anthony up at the club at Colisetti. He gives it a good go. He gives it a really good go. But
he's a good guy. Very good guy.
There's some tough brothers to dethrone.
That's it's always a good time. And I do hope you. So you think the next Ren 4 will be the winter one?
I'm guessing. If on Ren 4 in Central, what do they call it? Central Ohio, AOS, I think is. I have to go and look. I don't know why I can't pull this out of the top of my brain. But basically, the Columbus guys are talking about doing a tabletop simulator tournament.
Okay.
Soon.
Yeah.
So they're going to be doing something like that. If that's if you know how to use Tabletop Simulator, I think they might be doing talking through people how to use it and everything soon. So if you're interested in that, they're starting to do that. But then I would guess for Ren 4, it'll probably be their tournament down there. That's going to be the first one. So
okay.
I really wish I could get this other one off the ground, but. It may come off the ground too. It just may not be with me there. It might have to be somebody else running it. Dave is always good enough to run things for me. I gave him the entire shebang last time, and he kind of got thrown into the fire to figure out just how much goes into running one tiny little tournament like this. It is a lot. It is a lot for anybody. That shouldn't dissuade you from actually running an event. I don't want to scare people away from running events because in the end, really, all you need to do is show up and have tables and terrain and have people roll dice. You can make it that easy. But we have a fairly complicated setup with the Hobby Hero and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I remember, is there like TVs around the area too? Like, could we put you on Zoom or Skype or something? You could just watch us all play and then just chat to us?
Yeah.
It's like the big head in the room.
Yeah. One thing that we used to do in our tournaments when they were small, and I'd love to bring back too, is we used to go around and interview people after they closed out their games.
Oh, I love that.
We posted it right to the page, so people who weren't at the tournament could actually, see. You'd hear a little bit about the games where people were playing. We'd post the pictures up as it was going, interview people, say, hey, who won, who lost. What was the turning point in the thing? What would you think about the two armies, the lists, this and that? It was just kind of fun to get the opponents up there. And sometimes you saw a little bit of disgruntlement, if that's a word, going on one side or the other. But it was kind of neat. So we kind of threw that kind of sports center kind of interview system in that, you see with a lot of the like Honest Wargamer and stuff like that. But this was my poor man's version of that. We would do that, so I'd like to bring that back at some point.
I'm not sure. Did you listen to the episode I did with Andrew, Mr. Meth from Rantcast?
I have not. I need to do that. I've actually not listened to any of his podcasts, although it is on the docket to do so.
Yeah, Rantcast has become one of my favorites.
Right,
but
I've been hearing that from a lot of people.
But one thing that kind of came up, and we were talking about like how to make Age of Sigmar more, or just Warhammer, but Age of Sigmar specifically, more exciting for like the tabletop T-sports type of thing. And my take was we need WWE wrestler style personalities, and so like there's interviews with that same sort of thing, but if we can all like put on like a hyper level character and like be like, oh yeah, just.
Oh my god, you ever see that? Oh god, there's this the Rock's on Saturday Night Live, and he's ex wrestler, and he's going after this guy, but he's getting too personal. It's quality. Look that one up.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
But that's what we need. We need more of that.
Yeah, pro wrestling. I mean, shoot, Joe Pagano, whenever he went down to CanCon, made a wrestling belt. And he was getting into it, and it was fun to watch. He even did the cream rises to the top. Like, I don't know. I think he took a little thing of cream from some diner in New York all the way to Australia just to do the bit.
Oh, my God, that's funny.
It's
Those guys are crazy, him and Jacob. I love it.
Yeah, it's... Man, and with... that's what I want. That would make things more exciting. And you know, then you have people with the heels, and you'd have the good guys, and
right.
Oh, man, just be so exciting to follow.
Yeah.
And we get costumes, we get intro music. Sorry, I'm going deep. Yeah,
honestly, I think that's where the T Sports shines more than actually watching the games. As much as you know. They're getting better and better at zooming in on what's going on the table and everything, and the in-game commentary. For me, it's kind of the pre and post-game commentary that I get into more, because at some point during a 2.5-hour game, I got to go do something with the kids or whatever. I might make it through 10 minutes, you know, and the 10 minutes I might see are in the middle of the game where I don't have context to what's going on, or, you know, I get on to Twitch late, you know, whatever. So, yeah, I'd like to see some of that, kind of like the interview stuff a little bit more. Personally, I think that can be a little bit more interesting, and just having the game results and what happened, and you know what the scores were, and then have the people talk about how the game progressed is a little bit more interesting to me. But I like to see the pretty models too. So rather than the top down, I like when they zoom in and show me the pretty things.
Yes, right? Yes. I buy models. Let me see the models, please.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can figure that out. Maybe that could be our first theme for the narrative event I have in mind. We can do like a WWE thing.
Oh yeah.
Are you up for some?
I was around for 2 wrestling golden ages: the '80s and the mid to late '90s.
The D-Generation X.
D-Generation X, the NWO. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I was there for that. I was too young to know much outside of who Hulk Hogan was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was eating my vitamins and saying my prayers.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get into pro wrestling until God. Yeah, it was definitely around the Attitude Era is when it kicked in for me. And then obviously it faded away, but it's like, you know, then I grew up and it was just like, yeah, it's fake. Of course it's fake. It's fake, but it's like I like the story. So it's like I'm getting more and more back into it, especially since there's been so many wrestlers that are like posting about Warhammer.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
It's like
Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you got there's like a lot more people are into it, and like now is a great time to be into it, just for any sort of tabletop RPG. Like I said, we'll get a Soulbound going here soon.
For sure,
it's so good.
Yeah, I might have to get on and order that tonight. That might be coming to my house very soon.
Yeah, well, the official books aren't going to ship until Q4, but the PDF, like I said, instant download.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That'll keep me busy.
Oh yeah. No, I'm excited. Like I said, I do have a game set up with some folks to try it out, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, it looks fine. It's just a matter of like, okay, how can I play my Daughters of Cain witch elf? Because the problem I have too with tabletop role playing games is I only know how to be me. So like it's like whether I'm on Twitter or Facebook or in real life or anything, I'm just me, which is easy because I know who I am. But it's also kind of a downfall. So it's like I'm just going to end up being a witch elf. I'm going to be myself as a female elf. that wants to stab things. So it's like
Every
all right,
time, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe one day I'll branch beyond that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I played a little D&D back in second edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition, and again playing with my brother who wouldn't read rules, and so I was forced into being the DM. So I never want to be a DM ever again in my life. So, but I haven't played since, so it'll be interesting to dip my toes back into the role playing genre a little bit with Soulbound and all that. So.
Yeah, I've been getting back in. Definitely played a lot in high school and college. Then it kind of fell away after that. The group just kind of, we're still friends. It's just life gets in the way.
Sure.
Then, but I got a few more things set up, but I don't mind setting up another one. Actually, Matt and I were looking to set up a Soulbound, and apparently I'm the DM for that. So you're safe because you're invited to that.
Perfect.
Cool. But anything else? Anything else on your mind here? I mean, we've been going for an hour 20 minutes. It's time's moving quick. I mean,
that's pretty much what's rattling around my brain right now. So
yeah, well, it's a weird time.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
I look forward to the day we all get to meet up again. I plan on drinking myself stupid when that can finally happen. So someone's gonna have to drag me off the floor.
I look forward not being the one doing that.
You can be the one who can throw. You can clean me over your shoulder there, and
the deleted
and
podcast.
Get me back to where I need to go. Yeah.
Well, actually, here this is a fun thing. So, do you know who Rich Piana is? Rich Piana, he is a bodybuilder. He passed away, I think, in 2017, 2015. But he was a very prolific bodybuilder. But man, YouTube him. Like he's definitely a certain type of individual. Let's say that he but he had what was called an 8-hour arm workout. And a couple of YouTubers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on Twitter today.
A long time ago, a couple of YouTubers that I follow in the fitness industry, they did it, and it was funny. And like on my feed this morning at like 7 a.m., it popped up, and it's just like, hey, remember this? You want to watch it again? I'm like, yeah, I do. Let's watch it. I'm like, man, I should do that. I should do that one day. It seems like a stupid idea, but then like it lays it out. It's like, okay, you do a 15-minute workout, 15 minutes off, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. So it's 16 workouts with breaks in between. So 2 workouts an hour, 16 workouts, 8 hours. I was like, you know what?
Sounds like rhabdomyolysis. That's what it sounds like to me.
So I did it today.
Sounds like a hospital stay.
No. So I did it. So the key was I kept it all lightweight.
Okay.
Lots of curls, lots of triceps, and I only did 2 exercises twice. I always varied the different variations or movements to try and work the muscles slightly differently. And it, tell you what, the first hour or two, it was like, okay, it's fine, but like, doing 15-minute workouts didn't feel like a lot. About 3/4 of the way through, I felt nice, and like so I measured my arms before and after too. So like 13-inch arms cold, 14-inch 3/4 of the way through.
Getting swole. You get swole, brother.
Oh, I got swole. Like I said, once you got like the pump going, it stayed for a long time because it just wouldn't rest. And then like the last two hours, it was just like mental torture, like not my biceps. My biceps and triceps felt fine. Like I have really good triceps. Like they just do not wear out. I can just go and go and go. So like biceps they'll fail eventually. But for some reason it was my forearms that started getting to me.
From holding the weight.
Yeah, and then also I was doing some like Arnold type variations and like curl up, turn over, curl down type thing, and like that was what was getting me. So like the last 2 hours was just like nightmare. And then I measured my arms at the end, and I lost like a 1/4 inch. I was down to like a 1375 because I wasn't really actually doing much of a workout because it was just more of just like cramping and pretending like I was doing a workout. So
pop the balloons.
Yep. So I think a 5-hour arm day is great if you want to get a good pump. 8 hours is a little much, but I'm glad I did it. And as I've told a few other people, I I could never, in a right mind, recommend anyone doing this, but I could also recommend everybody doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't last 2 hours, but hey, give things the old college try. But
I think you could do.
speaking of fitness,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No. I said you could do it with anything.
Real quick.
We could do it with legs.
Just real quick. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a cousin-in-law. I've been running a little bit lately, and I have a cousin-in-law who is doing this like online 5K deal. And so you sign up for this, you pledge a certain amount, you run this 5K, and the money that you give to him, he actually sends to charities, to hospitals that have COVID units, supporting the hospital staff, trying to get PPE, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be doing that this weekend. I have so tomorrow. I've been up to 2 miles so far in my recent running, and so I've run a half marathon before, but it's been a lot of years. And so we're crawling and inching our way back up to respectability with this. So,
okay.
This weekend we're going to try and get that whole 5K in, and that kind of stuff is out there. So for people who are into that kind of thing, start to look into that. Start to look into charities. Try to support things around here. Anything you do is beneficial, and it's going to help the cause. So we're in this together, kind of thing.
That is a great note to end on. To make sure you're helping everybody you can, remembering we're in this together, and also to take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. That's what we're in this world for.
Yep. Take care of yourself too. Go exercise. That's the one way you beat this thing, is by being healthy. So be as healthy as you can, in case you do wind up coming down with this thing. You don't want to be in your worst shape. You want to be in your best.
Like I said, it's I could go preachy, but I won't. But if this happening hasn't encouraged you to at least look at like, wow, I'm really out of shape, or like I have a bad diet, or like I need to move at least a little bit. If you haven't at least thought about that at this point, then I don't know what hope there would be for you, because this is the biggest wake up call you can get. That
right.
Fitness.
I'm not afraid to be preachy about it. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, for me, I've been talking, kind of beating around the bush for months about trying to get my health back on course. And I was joking around telling Amy that if I don't wind up coming down with this, it's actually going to make me healthier, because I'm now actively trying to take care of myself, and it's given me the reason to do that. So if anything, if you don't get this, you should come out of this healthier. You hear all the jokes about the COVID bodies, and people just taking down the pints and gallons of ice cream, but right now it's serious.
Okay, you know what, let's get real preachy. Let's not end on the positive note. Let's end on the preachy note.
Right.
Get your ass in gear.
Mm-hmm.
Go take care of your body, because it's the only one you got. And if you're wasting it, you're wasting a life.
Right. You get one shot at this, one shot. And, I work in a field where I see people with strokes. I see people with spinal cord injuries. That's what I work with on a day-to-day basis. And even seeing that sometimes for me has not been enough. And that's really a shame. But this has kind of put things, I've gone through periods, ups and downs, where I kind of work out. And then, I let myself slide, work out, let myself slide. And I've been in one of those downturns. But come on, guys. I mean, if this doesn't wake you up, nothing's gonna. I mean, it's your life on the line. So get healthy, get out there and get moving. I don't care what you do. I don't care whether you walk. I don't care whether you start changing your diet.
Honestly,
I don't care whether you start taking vitamins, drinking more water, throw out the other stuff.
Everyone drink more water.
Right.
Everyone is always thirsty, whether you realize it or not. Everyone needs to drink more water. Drink more water.
Right.
But yeah, and also paint your armies. For God's sake,
and paint
people,
your armies.
We have time. I've painted everything I own. You can paint an army.
Right.
I don't want to see gray armies. I don't want. We're done. No more gray armies. No more flabby bellies. Get rid of those dad bods.
Right. We're all going to come out of this healthier, and then the scene's going to be better for it. Less con crud afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that too. Like, at this point too, it's like I hope people will understand if I don't shake everybody's hand, because I don't want to get sick with the flu at an event. And it's fine. Right. Not that I hate people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that you started this preachiness. You thought we were done. You thought we were done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's weird because like I always try to play the line too, because it's like I get it. Some people are more motivated than others, but I'm definitely a motivated person. Right. If you're not a motivated person, that's fine. And I'm talking with my hands, even though no one's going to see it. If you're not motivated, that's fine. But deep down inside, you have to realize you're wasting a lot of potential if you're just doing nothing right now.
Yeah.
Like if you come out, you don't need to start a business. You don't need to learn their language. But if you can at least start improving your habits, that's the takeaway from all this. Start improving your habits for life.
One of the things that's helped me the most is, I go into work every morning and, I wake up just enough time to kind of get ready, jump in the car and go. And for a long time, that meant stopping for breakfast, rolling through Dunkin' Donuts, getting a breakfast sandwich, a large coffee, eating in the car, all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't want to – right now, I want the least amount of contact with everybody that I can get, regardless of whether they tell me that's safe or not, and that's fine. But I've cut that out. And so I've also cut out eating at the cafeteria every day too. So, if I am eating, I'm bringing stuff from home now. I'm bringing stuff, I can kind of choose what I'm eating ahead of time. I'm cutting out all the X donut this day or that day. It's just a donut on a Wednesday, whatever, but it adds up. It adds up quick. That's stuff everybody knows, but it's a change of habit. It's little changes of habits that start to make the difference. So, and they kind of tend to snowball a little bit as you go. So.
Well, as you make more progress, it just will build and build and build.
I loved what you put up on Twitter the other day with that little video from Arnold Schwarzenegger about goals and how, if you don't have a goal written down, if you don't have a goal, what you're trying to accomplish as well, it's going to fail. You'll come up with more reasons to not do something than you will to do something. And when you have stuff, scattered around the house, just constantly reminding you, people in your life that you can, Chuck can call me up or text me and say, hey, what'd you do today? Those little type of things like that keep people honest. Find somebody in your life that'll do that for you, and you'll go places, because you really need, it has to be a team event. One of the nice things about CrossFit, and one of that I've done in the past, is that it is a very family-oriented, team-oriented thing with a lot of, if you don't show up for a day, everybody knows you're not there.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna be in your face and asking you why, the next day. And but a lot of people don't, maybe not like that, but I tell you what, it keeps you honest.
But they'll also be the first ones to then help you switch plates as you're going through I forgot how to say it, like a recorded WOD. Like even if they don't really know you that much, they'll help you out. So, that's that family thing, and it's definitely a hard thing to do. And us as war gamers tend to be on the nerdy side, so the social interactions are different. It is harder for some people. I'll acknowledge that, but get off your butts and do it.
Do something. Do something.
If you have trepidations, you have to push through it sometimes. Like
I've been playing Total War Warhammer, and the load times on my computer are crazy. So I hit a load time, I jump off the thing, and I go take down 10 push-ups real quick. That's just something I've been doing. So it's just like, just go rep a couple out, get back in the chair. I don't care if it's just go walk a little bit, go do something, get out of the chair.
That's everything too. Get outside, because if we've all been stuck inside, and let's be honest, like. Maybe the diets have slipped a little bit. I know mine's been. I've had a little bit more sugar, I realized recently, and trying to fix that here in the coming weeks. So I'm just not going to buy sugar for the house. That's really my only vice. Like, usually everything else I can keep in moderation just fine. But the thing is, where was I going with this? Oh, anyway, so yeah, diets are getting out of whack, and I'm sure. Did you see the? I think it was an Instagram video of some guy like out running in the morning in his neighborhood, like his cul-de-sac, and it was recycling day. And he noticed one of the bins, it was just full of wine, like 16 wine bottles. So he goes and checks the next one, wine bottles, beer bottles. And it's like him laughing the whole time, because it's like, oh, we're all working from home. And it's just, recycling was just full of alcohol. So like, I'm sure that's happening too for a lot of people. Like I said, I don't have that problem, but my problem is sugar, so I'm trying to correct it. But
Right.
The other big thing is get outside. You need the vitamin D, you need the fresh air, because right now, if we're all staying inside, eating poorly, our immune systems are dropping. And then if we all go back to work with those poor immune systems, well, who cares about COVID? You're going to catch a cold, you're going to catch the flu, and you're going to be back out. So get outside or supplement if you live in a state that's mostly gray. Sometimes Pennsylvania is like that. But yeah, like health and fitness, and paint your models.
Live. It's worth it.
It's worth it. It sucks sometimes, but it was worth it.
It's never too late, guys. Never too late. I don't care how out of shape you are. It's not too late. You're alive. Your heart's beating. Do something to make it better.
Yeah, I saw it was I think it was Mark Bell on Instagram. Put something I really liked, that who you see in the mirror today is not a promise of what you're going to be. Like, just because you look in the mirror right now and you're not happy, it's like you can change that so easily. Is it a quick process? No, not always. It might take a year, but you can do it. Like I said, set the goals.
For sure.
And get to it.
All right.
Well, okay. I think our preachy fire has run out. Yeah. we managed to stretch.
Good place to end.
Yeah. Neil, where can they find you?
They can find me at Neil Larocca on Twitter. That's NeilLarocca. They can also find me on Ren4 on Twitter. Just sign up if you're the kind of person who's positive in the community and wants a place to be positive with other people. Then we would love to have you. So I don't care where you're from or whatever. You can always participate in everything we're doing, no matter where you are, whether you're in England, whether you're in Australia, or whether you're right here in Northeast Ohio. So
perfect. And you can find me at Instagram and Twitter at strengthhammer_, or just go to strengthhammer.net where all this stuff gets posted. Stay Stormcast strong, and yeah, go get fit, everybody. See ya.